So you're being deported. That's what the Department of Homeland Security told a Boston immigration attorney. There's just one problem. She's an American citizen. Nicole Micheroni received an email last Friday directing her to leave the country within 7 days. It reads in part, quote, "It is time for you to leave the United States. Again, DHS is terminating your parole. Do not attempt to remain in the United States. The federal government will find you. Please depart the United States immediately." The immigration attorney was born in Newton, Massachusetts, and raised in Sharon.
The CBP told NBC 10 Boston, which was the first outlet to report this story, that notices may have been sent to unintended recipients. Joining us now to tell us more is Nicole Micheroni. Welcome, Nicole.
Oh, thank you.
So this doesn't inspire much confidence, this letter that arrived with you. What do you make of it all?
It does not inspire a lot of confidence. It's concerning. It's confusing. Obviously, I am a U.S. citizen. I was not admitted to the United States under parole, so it clearly does not apply to me. I think the language is very threatening, and it is sent to a lot of people, some of them who it does not apply to, me and many other people like me.
I assume the actual error here, since you are an immigration attorney, is that someone, a client of yours or something, supplied your information, your contact information on some form, and thus this came to you instead of that person. Is that what you judge to be the likely reason here?
I would say that's the most likely scenario. My email is on a lot of different people's immigration paperwork. It's on applications. I do correspond regularly with DHS and ICE via email for various different clients. So it could have gotten in their system in a lot of different ways. That being said, it seems like a lot of people who received this email entered on the CBP One app, which is an app that you download on your cell phone and attorneys do not have access to.
And has DHS subsequently acknowledged that this was sent in error and there's no expectation that you leave the country immediately?
Not to me. I did hear through the media that they would be dealing with this on a case-by-case basis. I would be surprised if they reached out to me and admitted that this was an error. I do not plan to leave the United States either way.
I'm glad to hear that for sure. We like having you here. But I guess to broaden this out to a much more sort of grave issue, this is happening at a time when President Trump is at least hypothetically discussing the possibility of deporting American citizens. He said earlier this week that he would have no problem with doing that, although he wants to examine the legality of that question. Now, to be very clear, that's very separate from what happened to you, which appears to be some form of administrative error. But this idea that he's floating about deporting American citizens, what's your opinion about that?
Well, I think it's clearly illegal and probably unconstitutional to deport American citizens or to send them to prison camps in El Salvador or anywhere else in the world. But I think it really highlights the need for due process here. There are American citizens that have gotten caught up in the immigration system before. This email is an example, but I've seen people in immigration court that are American citizens. I've seen people detained by ICE that are American citizens, and it takes time to prove that you're a U.S. citizen.
I was interested to note that this is a case where a notice was sent that you have a certain amount of time to leave the country. As an immigration attorney, is that how common is that versus what people are seeing and they are concerned about the deportations or some of the arrests or I guess detaining because they're not charged with crimes of, for instance, pro-Palestinian students where the authorities came and then took them to some detention center, which strikes a lot of people as very sinister. I think maybe you could still argue it's sinister, but less sinister to receive a notice that you have some time period under which you can comply with the law to leave the country. How common is one approach versus the other?
So I think an important distinction is a notice saying that your status has been terminated and you should leave is not the same as a deportation order. So a notice saying you're no longer in status, please leave I would consider more of a warning, whereas a deportation order is generally, although not always, issued by an immigration judge. So there should be due process where you get to go to court and speak to somebody who can hear your case. And then if you lose your case, that is when a removal order is issued.
In relation to the big picture here, Nicole, obviously there is a lot of controversy around the Trump administration's policies on immigration, generally speaking, and you work in that area. Among people who you may see in your professional life who are here in the United States legally, but perhaps are not yet full U.S. citizens, how much fear is there at the moment? How much confusion is there? What is the atmosphere like among those communities?
There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of confusion. I've never seen anything quite like the last few months with the types and volume of calls we're getting at our office. There are a lot of people that are here legally. They're lawful permanent residents. Sometimes they're naturalized citizens. Sometimes they're native born citizens that have been speaking out on certain political issues. And they're all worried about traveling. I'm getting questions, will I be let in? Could I get detained? I worked on this documentary. Does that mean that I can't apply for this type of visa? So there's a lot of panic in the immigrant community and beyond that.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Next up, liberals are coming after our furry, four-legged friends. Very, very sad. We'll discuss dogs. That's what we're talking about. My favorite.